In a world enamored by Hollywood, its celebrities, their paradigms and ideals, is this where it's at? Join me each week as we discover the deeper meaning, an alternate spark to Hollywood's love, paparazzi, relationships, and empowerment. Yes, my friend, I am sparked by Hollywood. Thanks for joining today's episode of the Sparked by Hollywood podcast. Today's topic is the explosive love that we witness on The Ellen Show. This podcast, the Sparked by Hollywood podcast, is all about shining the unique spark beyond the typical and traditional Hollywood paradigms of love, relationships, and empowerment. On today's Sparked by Hollywood stage, we have The Ellen Show. And that's really an all-time favorite show that has provided so much love and light to so many over the years. Ellen is known to all of us for her humor, her giving back to others. She has gifted people with cash, with cars, with prizes, with vacations, to so many in need. And she basically has brought smiles to those people in her audience and to those people watching abroad. How many times have we witnessed on her show where someone will call in or someone will be on her show on stage and they'll say, I've been going through some kind of issue in my life and every single day I'd watch your show and it gave me so much hope. So she really touched so many lives over the years. Ellen also showed a great respect for the U.S. military, for the veterans, and the families who were separated during their deployment. But what made Ellen really legendary was that she surprised so many of these families, and she brought many husbands home to surprise their loved ones. Sometimes really bringing them together for Thanksgiving, New Year's, Christmas, or Valentine's Day, a time which is typically spent with family and friends, and yet these families were separated, only to be surprised and to be reunited on Ellen's stage. So on one of these shows, Ellen calls up one of her audience members and she asks her to play a game. Well, first she gives a little background to who this woman is and she talks about her husband. He's overseas. And Ellen asks her, do you want to play a game? And she says, yes. She puts on a blindfold and she plays this game of musical chairs. So as she goes around from chair to chair, eventually one chair is taken away, another chair is taken away, and the last chair, she sits down on someone's lap, she takes off her blindfold, and her husband is sitting right there. And that's when the explosion takes place. Husband and wife who haven't seen each other for so many months, who have missed each other for so long, embrace, they hug, they kiss, they're crying, they are emotional, and the audience is right there with them. As they witness the scene unfolding, they feel the strong pull from husband and wife as they embrace one another, as they feel that closeness once again that they were waiting for so long. And of course, we're so happy for this couple who has now been reunited. It's similar to the scene in an airport at the departure gate where you see a couple or two people of the same family, a loved one who's departing, who's leaving, and they are saying goodbye. And you feel in that moment as they hold on tight and you're just watching from afar, but you know that those people are embracing. Sometimes they're emotional, but they're holding on tight because they know that there's going to be a certain amount of time that they're going to be separated. And they're holding on. They're holding on to that moment. They're holding on to each other because they know there's going to be a time that they're going to be apart. Again, we feel those emotions together with them. And all we're doing is being bystanders. But we understand why the emotions are high. We understand why they're holding on so tight and don't want to leave go. And similarly, if we were to be at the arrivals gate, the same scene would unfold where you have family members, sometimes husband and wife, sometimes parent and child, sometimes boyfriend and girlfriend. They haven't seen each other for so long. One of them is greeting the other at the arrivals gate and they run into each other's arms, finally being able to embrace after having a break of a certain amount of time. Now, why does this work? Why does this time apart create this feeling of closeness, this feeling of excitement that makes you just want to jump into the other's arms, that makes the couple want to embrace and not let go? It's because distance brings hearts together, makes the heart grow fonder. That space, that void that was experienced by both parties, in this case, husband and wife, created a longing. And that longing allows them to reunite with excitement. See, in marriage, we have the love. The love is expected, but what kind of love do we have? Many times it could become stagnant just because of the constant daily living, just because husband and wife get into a rhythm of daily life with family, with work, and with each other. So what happens when this couple is trying to reignite their spark, make something exciting? What might they do? Well, some people might suggest that they go on a lavish vacation, try to re-spark the love that they once had in a different place, in a different setting, away from the norms of life. While someone else might suggest, why don't you invest in intimacy toys? Those are meant to spice things up, right? But let's put aside the external suggestions for a moment and let's look within the marriage. Let's look at the daily life of the couple to see how within their relationship that spark can be reignited. And who better to set the example than Ellen on her show? See, she shows the world what happens naturally when husband and wife are physically apart for a certain amount of time. They get excited. They want each other once again as they run into each other's arms, thinking of no one else but each other, because now they can finally embrace. So the question is, do we have to be far apart? Do we have to be deployed across the world in order to feel this pulling apart from each other for so long, in order to bounce right back in love, in intimacy, and excitement? Or can we build this idea into the very infrastructure of the marriage and reap the benefits every single month? Yes, it is possible. Just like the couple can do it on Ellen's stage, they can do it within the confines of their home and reignite this love every single month. In Judaism, we call it the laws of Nida. And the way that it's built into the infrastructure of the marriage is that when the woman menstruates, that's a time that husband and wife take a physical break from each other. They take a break from the intimacy, but they are very much living together in the same home, in the same space, sharing their life, sharing their love, sharing communication, sharing words of affirmation, and anything else that feeds into the marriage. But the intimacy part has a break because it's so special. It's so exciting. It's so unique, done with one person, such a soulful connection that they don't want to cheapen it. They don't want it to be like breakfast, lunch, and dinner that happens every single day. They want to set it apart and make it special. So within the laws of Judaism, again, this is actually built into the monthly structure of the couple's calendar. Just like there are birthdays on the calendar and appointments on the calendar and events on the calendar, they have their intimate schedule on the calendar as well. And it's not that complicated. It's just that they are designating the time when the woman gets her period. And in Judaism, it's an additional, so that's the minimal 5 days of her menstruation, followed by 7 days where she counts and sees and checks that there is no menstruation flowing from her. Finally, and then this time period is culminated by the 7th day in the evening, the woman immerses in the holy mikvah waters. After this minimal 12-day period that husband and wife intentionally committed to taking a break from their intimate life, they are able to bounce back, literally, in each other's arms without anything external that they're looking forward to except for each other. That's all that they care about. That's all that they want with their heart and soul because they restrained for this amount of time. Someone reached out to me on Instagram recently after I posted one of these videos, and she said, "Is this only for Jews?" And I said, absolutely not. Yes, we have the commandment within Judaism to take a break physically and intimately every single month, but it doesn't mean that it cannot be practiced by other people who are not Jewish. This is a practice actually that Matt Damon discussed in an interview and let people know that him and his wife practice this 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off practice. Not only that, he didn't just say, oh, we practice it. He said, this is our secret sauce. This is our secret to the spice of our marriage, our long-lasting, loving marriage. Now, the caveat to this time of physical separation from husband and wife is the commitment on the other flip side of the coin. What do we do during this time? Yes, we understand what we don't do, but what do we do to foster a deeper relationship between husband and wife? And that's where the element of communication comes in. That's where the element of understanding, words of affirmation, words of encouragement, speaking, taking walks, spending time together, having some quality time with one another, those fuel the relationship on the other side of the coin. Because when society puts such a stress on the physical and sexual part of the marriage, but really disregards or doesn't put so much of a stress on the other aspect of the communication and understanding of one another, then what happens is we lose that touch. And then when things go wrong, we wonder why. We wonder how. How did this happen? And then we wonder, why is the love falling out too? Where's the passion in the love? Where's the passion in the intimacy? Where has it gone? How come we can't elicit that spark that we once had back in the beginning when we first met? Many times, it's because both these aspects of the relationship needs to be fed. If one were to focus on just the aspect of intimacy, if one were to only focus on the fact that the value that we bring to each other in this relationship is our sexual connection together, then we've lost the touch of letting each other know that I not only love you, but I like you too. You're not only the person who I can express my deepest love with, but more importantly, you're the person I want to spend the rest of my life with because I like you. I want to spend time with you. I love giving to you, and I love receiving what you can give me. And so, my friends, both these aspects are important. Both these aspects are so prudent. The physical aspect and the communicative aspect. Taking that break from one another, making it clear that this aspect of the relationship is so important, so dear, and so valuable that it's not going to happen all the time. We're going to have a designated time during the month that we're going to take a break and put it aside. And while we put it aside, we focus and stress on the time spent together, on the words we share with each other, on the words that we give, and the words that we receive. And as every single relationship is worked on a constant basis, we have a baseline to come back to. We have a baseline of feeding into the intimacy, taking a break from it, and feeding intentionally into the communication as well. Thank you for joining me for today's episode. If you are loving the Spark by Hollywood podcast, kindly leave me a 5-star review on the platform that you're listening on. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at Sparked by Hollywood. That's where the conversations happen. That's where I give you extra content on all my episodes and where you can send me your feedback, your comments, and questions. And finally, in a world where we are all enamored by the spark of Hollywood and its celebrities, always remember your own spark that you carry within you that makes you the gift that the world needs to shine that much brighter. I'll catch you in the next episode.